Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the dude manning the counter, Duncan, and today I'm going to talk about a sci-fi horror movie called Pitch Black, starring Vin Diesel, Radha Mitchell, Cole Hauser, and Keith David. Now, this movie came out in 2000. This was before Vin Diesel really took off. No one really knew who he was. That weekend was eventful for him because he had another movie he was part of as more of an ensemble cast called Boiler Room, and then he had Pitch Black. It came out both February 18th of 2000, I believe, and that's when he really started to take off. And then a year and a few months later, did Fast and the Furious, and the rest is history. But here, Pitch Black, many people dismissed it early on as another Alien ripoff. Everyone's like, "Oh, another Alien and Monster ripoff." There was Predator and Alien, those different monster movies or adversaries, and thought Pitch Black was just another one of those. And in certain respects it is, but it also has some really cool features to it that I'm going to go into in different elements of the story that I think makes it stand out and why it has the following it does now. Now, it's directed by David Twohy, and it was written by him as well, and I think he's a very underrated writer and director. I wish he'd done more stuff. He did the Riddick sequels that I'll go into in a little bit, and he also did a movie that no one's heard of that is absolutely amazing called A Perfect Getaway. I'll talk about that in a future video. So he's a talented and very creative guy. So, this story takes place, it starts out on this cargo ship, and it runs into an asteroid field, and some of it penetrates the ship, and it crashes onto this desolate planet. And the few survivors, Riddick being one of them, played by Vin Diesel, they crash, and they're on this planet that has 3 suns, or 2 suns. It's multiple suns anyway. And anyway, they're stuck there, and there doesn't seem to be any civilization, but something's just not quite right. And they're trying to learn how to work together and see if they can find a ship there, because there are some things to salvage there, and see if they can get off the planet. And they don't know what to do with Riddick because he was in confinement, and they were all in this thing called cryosleep. And when after they crashed, they all woke up from that. But Riddick was a prisoner being transported by a bounty hunter named Johns, played by Cole Hauser. And so they don't know what to do with Riddick. They're a little skeptical. I'm like, we could use his physicality and his help and his resourcefulness, but is he going to take us out the first chance he gets? And Johns isn't entirely trustworthy either. He has this badge, but is he really a cop? I don't know. You have to watch the movie. But he's not all he says he is either. And so Riddick and Johns neither are too trustworthy, and the rest of the survivors are like, what are we going to do? So they look around the planet to find out what was going on. And Radha Mitchell is the crew leader of the ship by default. The captain was killed in the crash. So she's trying to hold it together. She's very good here. And Keith David is a Muslim on a pilgrimage, and he's got 2 kids with him too. And they're going to a place called New Mecca. So there's a whole different array of characters here. There are a couple other prospectors and stuff. So they're all stuck on this planet, and all they have is each other. And so they kind of conflict how to get off this planet. But then they notice how the place is so desolate, but there looks like there was people there at one point. They check out this model, and the planet revolves. It has its own galaxy center. And they notice that it's every 22 years, according to this model, there's a total eclipse, and it's completely black. And so that's where the Pitch Black comes from. And another conflict to this is they discover why it's so desolate is when this Pitch Black event happens, there's monsters that thrive in the dark. And they're hungry. And they can't come out in the light. They're vulnerable to the light. But in the dark, when it's pitch black, they are quite dangerous. And they kind of see through sound, and vision isn't great, but they can hunt you down, and there are a ton of them. So they have to release Riddick because they need his help, because he can handle the monsters a little bit, and they just need his muscle and his cunning ability to get out of situations, because he is a convict who escapes from every prison you throw him in. So they reluctantly agree to him, and they're just not sure what to make of Riddick, because he has this strange sense of honor, and but he's also a killer, and he doesn't hide that. So you just don't know, the other characters don't know what to do, and so that's what they go through. And as the monsters start to come out, they have to try to use light and find different ways to keep the lights going, to keep them safe. And they have to get to a abandoned ship that they can get some power cells to and power it and get out of Dodge. But to get across the planet in pitch black, it makes things very difficult. And the characters here fight over that. What's the best way? And are you who you really say you are? Because Johns isn't an honorable cop. He's a bounty hunter, and he's got some less than admirable attributes to himself. And Riddick is not very good either. And so what do? I mean, they got to trust Riddick to get him off the planet? Or is he going to kill him the first chance he gets? Or is he just going to use his resourcefulness, get on a ship, and leave them to rot? You don't know. And that's what makes this so good. This was done on a very small budget. It's not a big, ambitious thing. You see the creatures, but not too much of them. The CGI is okay. It's not the best. This was a smaller budget movie. And so it used more of what you don't see, and it creates an atmosphere. It's really, really good. And the director, David Twohy, said on the DVD special features that people asked him, like, what were you going for when you were making this? And they were shooting in the Australian desert and the outback, and it was hot, and the crew was working hard, and the actors were trying to hold it together. He's like, I was trying to survive. It wasn't even so much a vision anymore. It was just trying to get this thing made. He said it was a real test, because they were on such time constraints and budget constraints. But the creativity flowed, and you got the result. This DVD is actually a reissue because there were some sequels. And I know I'm critical of sequels, but I'm going to tell you why I like the Riddick franchise in a minute. And so, anyway, back to this story. It's pretty cool how they keep the tension up there and keep you engaged. And it's not too long, and it doesn't ever drag or meander. It's a pretty solid flick here. So, if you're in for a monster movie with some suspense and conflicting characters that are well developed, check out Pitch Black. It's really good. Now, the sequel called The Chronicles of Riddick, I really liked. David Twohy also said in the DVD what he liked about it. This DVD I have isn't the original pressing of Pitch Black. It was reissued because The Chronicles of Riddick came out in 2004. And so this was to kind of gain some momentum for it. But David Twohy and Vin Diesel were approached by Universal. Like, we like the Riddick character, and a lot of people like the Riddick character, and they like Pitch Black. Let's do a sequel. And they both were like, okay, there's more you can do with the character in this universe, but why not do a more epic scale? And Riddick's now caught in the middle of an intergalactic religious crusade. So that's what the sequel is, and that's really cool too. I'll talk about that in the next video. But anyway, Pitch Black is a great low-budget sci-fi, character-driven suspense sci-fi horror. So that's basically it for that. What are your thoughts on Pitch Black? Do you like the Riddick character? Do you hope they make more? Vin Diesel has hinted at it several times. We'll see if it actually happens. I'd love to see it. Let me know in the comments. And like and subscribe if you like older movies. And take care till next time.